Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Wednesday night, Techthusiasm Live podcast. Going to be a fun one today. I have a mystery device to share with all of you. We'll take a look at it as much as I can, having it situated here kind of on my lap. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about the AVM 90 review recap and some of the time that I spent this past weekend with my son trying to build on what we talked about last week, which was hooking up that gaming PC, trying to think of how to run a gaming source to two rooms at the same time, doing some multi HDMI output and some HDMI splitting. So I'm a little frazzled. I literally got a bunch of stuff going on tonight. I have to admit, it's hard sometimes to do these podcasts, to do Wednesday night evenings, weekday evenings now. Life is just so busy. I finished with my son real quick. We actually were just a couple pages shy of being able to finish the chapter of the book that we were reading. But I'm waiting for my wife and my daughter to come home. Hopefully there's not a lot of noise and stuff in the background. If you hear some beeping and some other things, I apologize for that, but it's whatever. It's real life going on all around. They're out shopping for Halloween costume stuff and that after soccer practice. So we're just jumping right in here. I did have a topic for tonight that's lined up or was lined up, but I didn't have the time to kind of fully prep for it as much as I wanted to. And I want to make sure to do it right. So I'm hoping to move that to next week. There's going to be a special guest, and we're going to do like a real big Arc Genesis deep dive is my plan. Basically doing an Arc Genesis kind of case study of my room, running audio calibration, all of that stuff. But again, I deferred that one to give it a little more time to kind of fully be prepped for it. So tonight we're just hanging out. And again, we've got at least this fun unboxing to do here, unveil my new amplifier purchase and so on. So welcome everybody again. As you're coming in, please do that regular YouTube stuff. Hit the like button, drop a comment, let me know who's there. If you've got questions, topics, anything about any of the recent content that hit the channel or whatever may be on your mind, feel free to ask the questions, ask the questions in the comments. If you've got a question, preface it with a letter Q or something to kind of indicate, make sure that I hit it. I know the last couple of weeks we've had quite a crew hanging out here for the podcast, and it's even hard just doing everything solo. It's hard to keep up with all the comments and talk and answer and different things. And of course, always, hey, it's YouTube. If you feel so inclined to leave a super thanks, leave a super chat, or accompany your question with that, it would be, of course, much appreciated. So a couple of quick call outs. All the usual friends, or some of the usual friends, are here. Julius, welcome. Rob James, hello, welcome. Travis, ever accused of being early before. That's nice. Yeah, there's certain members of my household that are often late for just about everything that they do. Kind of funny. Chitapat, welcome. Hi, I have questions. Can AVR can do FreeSync or VRR? I wonder if that means an AVR that can pass FreeSync and VRR. Really nowadays, that's most of them. If you get a competent HDMI 2.1 receiver or preamp, it's able to pass things like that. I know I've tested it on the Anthems that I have. I've ran PlayStation and even PC VRR through the Anthem to the G2 over there in the living room. So really just make sure you're buying a device that has the right HDMI 2.1. So we'll get to this in a second. We'll gather up. So if you hadn't seen it, I did put out the AVM 90 review this past Monday. I felt really good about that video. Honestly, I did a rush actually out of last weekend. I had no content. That's kind of why I missed a publishing an edited kind of normal format video a week or last Friday. And I just kind of dropped a short, I think, that day instead. But over last weekend, I did film 4 videos, the AVM 90 review, which I released. And I think I feel good. I feel I made some good points in there. I hope that review was useful everywhere that I posted it. And actually it was posted to ABS forum, to the owners thread there. I didn't even kind of go posting it. Other folks were posting it. and saying that it was really well done. I felt really confident, I guess, talking about that. Getting into the flow of like reviewing stuff has definitely been a work in progress, but I think I'm getting better at it, so I'm happy about that. I think that review came off really well. A lot of hopefully useful information, hopefully elements as well about the device and the Anthem platform that like other reviews don't get to. Again, more kind of that thinking usability kind of stuff that I want to kind of be known for, and kind of uh, base base my opinions and the channel on and all that sort of thing. So yeah, watching that back, I was pretty confident about it. So it went to Anthem owners Facebook group and other places. So if you know there's other places on the web that are talking about Anthem stuff, and you haven't already seen it or I haven't linked it there, feel free to share it to the Anthem community folks. So again, but overall, to kind of summarize that video, I think the device is fantastic. We've watched a few pieces of content now, a few movies and stuff down there, and I definitely feel like, again, the best praise I can give it is my room has never sounded better than before, and I think that upgrade had playing a big role in that, in conjunction with the subwoofers and all that sort of stuff. But overall, the audio quality just absolutely delivers, and everything else about the platform that I've been kind of talking about over the last couple of years with Anthem holds itself to the pinnacle of its capability with the 90. So if anybody out there has been debating it, he definitely had my my support to say go ahead and open the wallet and go buy one. And similar to what I had talked as well, like if you've been debating 70 or 90, or you've been debating against other units and stuff, it's expensive. But if you have the means to be able to realistically buy it, to realistically justify it, I couldn't imagine, in my speaking for myself, I couldn't imagine being in the situation to be able to buy that and not just buying that again. And hopefully from this point forward, being able to stay at that pinnacle level of Anthem gear. So I look forward to seeing whatever successor might come to the STR for the living room eventually, and we'll have new AVMs, I'm sure, someday as well. Hopefully not for a good long while. Now I would really like to see Anthem go into high gear with software features and all of that for a good 2 years or so at least. And get Rune in there, get the DTSX Pro in there, add new things that we're not even thought about to kind of delight owners. That's been one of the best ownership experiences, I would say, of like JVC projectors, is just how much JVC puts in to the firmware upgrades, and it's happened both in the NX line and now it's happening again in the NZ line. So I love buying devices and having them get appreciably better over time. And then I think there's more that Anthem can be doing with Arc Genesis and the Arc Genesis software and all that. So I think the platform is awesome, and it give it my unequivocal thumbs up. So go for it. And I posted in the community tab as well today. There is a trying to figure out where I can get this easiest from to link it in the chat. There actually is an open box Anthem AVM 90. I thought I had messages to somebody. I was trying to just figure out if I could grab the link somewhere. But if you go to Audio Advice, go through the links and take a look at the open box. They've got, where is, sorry, I thought, here we go. I'll put this in the chat if anybody wants to go to it. So there you go. There's I think it's marked down into the upper $6,000 range. And I just got a new extra deal from Audio Advice. So if you use promo code, this one, Tech15OB, in the Audio Advice open box store, you get an extra 15%. So that open box AVM 90 that's sitting in Anthem store right now, shown in excellent condition. It was probably just a very short-term return, or maybe it was open, somebody bought it for a project and then either canceled or went in a different direction. It's probably like brand new. Can be had for like mid 5,000s or upper 5,000s, almost $2,000 off. So if you're thinking about it, man, if it were me, I would be jumping on that on the open box one in a heartbeat. So a couple questions. If anybody has any other questions around the Anthem, I don't want to kind of belabor it too much. Again, the review video is out there. It's like 20 minutes long itself, but I wanted to definitely touch on it here. But if there is any questions about it, fire them off, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll get to the big moment, the big unveil here. So Travis, welcome. As an individual with an MRX without the 8K upgrade, trying to decide if it's worth the money. Yeah, you do with the 90 have the 8K. Yeah, that was like basically a $500 kind of value proposition for me in terms of upgrading a 70 4K to the Anthem 8K. And I may be in position sooner than later, actually, to take advantage of that board now. So I'll talk about that when we get to the gaming HDMI kind of multi-zone discussion later on. I never did. So wondering why you didn't do the 8K upgrade on the 70. So a couple reasons. One, it was $500. And for a while, for the last little while, I wasn't actually using my system in a way that I needed it. The only thing the only sources actually that I had been running in the theater for probably like the last year has been the Apple TV and the Kaleidoscape, neither of which has any need for anything more than HDMI 2.0 A or B, whatever, 18 gig HDMI. And in the theater, I'm still running the JVC NX7 anyway, so that is not a HDMI 2.1 device. And the stuff that I did have that was HDMI 2.1 capable, I was only running in the living room directly connected to the LG. And that's pretty much the gaming PC. And as I've been in and out of the PlayStation 5 a couple of times in the last year, those are the only sources that matter. And so I didn't really have a need for it. So I figured why I actually going back, I contacted the local dealer that I did buy the Anthem from originally, because I bought my 70 from a local reseller, brick and mortar home theater shop here. And I had contacted them about getting the board. I was going to go ahead and do it really for the content, if for nothing else. And I even tried to tell them, it's like, hey, I got this YouTube channel. We can like do something together, talk about your shop, talk about this upgrade. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll look into it. We'll get back to you. And then they never got back. And like I said, I didn't feel that I really needed it. So I just kind of was sitting on it. And then over the last couple months, as I was formulating the idea about, hey, maybe there's going to be an opportunity actually to do a 70 to a 90 upgrade. By that point, it's just like, I'll just get the 8K board in the 90. I'll sell my 70 as is. And that's that. So now though, I will be glad, I think, ultimately to have an Anthem with the 8K board in it, because I actually really want to do game potentially in the theater, and I'm working on something else something else for the theater that I wasn't really thinking would be feasible this calendar year, but there may be an opportunity where that could matter a little bit more. So we'll see where that goes. Tar Hoya, maybe start considering jumping from the 70 to the 90, maybe an upgrade to plan for next year. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, as long as it fits into your system, it fits into your budget, I think it's proven to me to be well worth it. And if you have the intention of going to more than 2 subwoofers, then it really kind of becomes a slam dunk on top of everything else, especially if it saves you doing other system complexities like mini DSPs and stuff like that. Yeah, mini DSP is cheaper in dollars, but I guarantee you it will be far more expensive, or some of that cost will be nullified. Cost savings will be nullified when you factor in time and system complexity. So how much that matters to you just depends on your individual situation. I'm definitely at a point in my life where time is more valuable than money in many ways. So MT Young Percussion, great review. Thank you. Appreciate the honesty about the subject. To our own buyer's remorse. Yeah. So yeah, trying to assure yourself, like I said, the rooms never sounded better. So how much of that is placebo? How much of that is like, wanting to have positive bias about it? I've had other folks over now to listen to the room. They all felt it sounded great. Of course, they didn't have a frame of reference to talk about the 70 versus the 90. There's really no sense in asking the family per se. It would have to really be some outsized paradigm shift of quality, I think, for the family to kind of pick up on a difference. But I do. I really think it is. I really think it's going there. It's happening in there. But still waiting Denon to have 48 HDMI 2.1. I'm still using my old AVR. So that, I think that's one of the many. I almost sound like a fanboy, but one of the many feathers in the cap of Anthem that I appreciate is the fact that they did a full 48 HDMI across that whole board, and they didn't cheap it down into the 30s or cap it at 40 or whatever. So, all right, who's ready to see the amplifier? So I kind of been alluding to this one for a while. This has been part of my audio plan for some time. Two things that I've been wanting to accomplish with the amplifier changeover. One has been to get the living room on a dedicated audio system. So for those that aren't completely familiar, a couple years ago, almost 2 years ago now, I bought the Parasound Halos that I have. Excellent amplifiers, amazing build quality, built like tanks, excellent engineering, excellent performance, and all of that sort of stuff. I bought 3 of them. I've got a Halo A31 and dual A52 pluses. I run 11 speakers in my theater room, which, if you do the math, I've got 13 channels of amplification, only 11 in the theater. That left 2 channels left over. But my living room, of course, is a 2.2 audio system. There's 2 in-wall subwoofers that have been driven off of the Triad brand rack amps, but the focals that are in the living room, I've been running off the extra channels of the A52 pluses. And so I've wanted to I wanted to decouple the living room. I want the living room speakers on their own dedicated 2-channel amp. They've got their own Anthem STR. The subwoofers have their own amps. I just want that room completely on its own amplification, and I don't have to worry about like kind of hackney turning on zone 2 just to trigger amplifiers on and that sort of thing. I just really wanted to keep it discreet. And then at the same time, I've just found that like the focal hasn't been the best match for the A52 pluses. If you go back on the channel a little bit, you'll find some talk about like ambient or like speaker noise floor is high. It's high enough to be audible, particularly in the living room with the speakers in there. I notice it in the theater a little bit as well when it's quiet or there's no audio playing. If there's audio playing, you don't hear it, but that noise floor is there. And just for the academic and engineering pursuit of it, I want to have like a zero noise floor set up in my spaces. Been really intrigued by Class D. And so I've had the Parasounds up for sale. I may have some buyers if folks are interested in those amplifiers though. I'm probably around like $2,500 on each one. Maybe could cut a little bit less if it's a local pickup, all the better in Southeast Michigan. But if I have to ship them, I can ship them. So if anybody was waiting, maybe I'm wanting to pick up those Parasounds. They may not be there too much longer. So reach out to me if you are interested. And the other thing, the whole kind of part and parcel of this. So I wanted amplifiers that have no coloring, no warmness, nothing to the signal. Very, very pure, very clean. Absolutely dead silent noise floor is what I'm hoping for. And I wanted to try Class D. I've had Class D amps only really for the subwoofers. All the other speakers now for a long time. Prior to the Parasounds, I had Emotivas, Class A, AB. The Parasounds Class A/AB, of course. And so D is something that is all the rage, and I haven't really experienced it full bore myself here, and I wanted to. So, of course, we had Dylan on. We're talking about the Buckeyes. I was kind of like jonesing after perhaps the Apple On Audio, UK company that makes some really, really nice looking Class D amps, NAD, and some others. And so I bought just the 2-channel amplifier so far for the living room. I don't have the funds and the revenue and the cash flow to just go ahead and buy everything that I was considering for this amplifier purchase. just straight and clean. So I do need to sell the Parasounds in order to have those dollars to turn over into their replacement purchase. So those are a kind of a serialized purchase, but at least getting started with the living room will give me my first opportunity. So here we go. I know a lot of folks have been thinking that we got the Buckeyes, but we didn't get the Buckeye. So that, my friends, is an NAD Master Series M23 2-channel amplifier, about 40 pounds. It's not exactly easy to unbox stuff on your lap. So I'm going to take this out really quick. We'll take a look at it. I already did some of the unboxing effort earlier. I do have to say, so I'll probably end up putting it all back in to do like a dedicated video, but this thing is really well packaged. So there was an outer box, open up the outer box, and then there was this inner box. This box was wrapped in plastic. I can't really show, so I'll have to lift stuff up. I mean, this is the cap over top of the amplifier there. I haven't even looked at any further than that. So inside here, we got a little box. We've got some documentation, cleaning instructions. Interesting. Use this cloth gently to wipe the panels. Ooh, we got feet. I don't know if that's a magnet. These are like some kind of isolation feet. Interesting. That's all that's in there. Little flat box. The one there. Pop this back in. While I'm sitting out here, I'll check the comments in a second. So that's that. That was actually like, yeah, it didn't fall out. I'm gonna set this aside. I guess one of the nice things about it is it's not like 80 pounds, so I can actually hold it. We'll get to the big moment in a second here. We got another box. This is probably just, yeah, power cords. So wait, what are we looking at here? We got one power. There's actually two power cords. Oh, it's for a different European style. Euro style, US style. There's probably a better name for that, North American. Two power cords in this box provided. We got the amp itself. It's on a, this is really hefty packaging. This thing is in here. The bottom is sitting in another, one of these types of trays. So this is probably one of the best packaging jobs I've ever seen. So there we are. Got the protective bag, string drawn. Gonna untie this. Yeah. God, this is nice. This is a tight looking piece of kit right here. So let's get a good look at her front end. I love when you can see inside. Look at that. That's a high-end back panel for sure right there. I'm going to drop this thing. Speaker left. XLR RCA input, speaker right. Got a balance selector switch, 12-volt trigger in, bridge mode switch, gain level switch, LED level control, ground lug there. So if I do still happen to have any humming, all of the gear now has the ground lugs on it, which I like. I can tie those all together. Just to get a look at the side panel, we got a little ventilation going on there. The bottom, oh yeah, look at this. I love, it's like pointy feet. Oh, let's take a look at the feet. Let me pull one of these feet out. We're doing this kind of on the lap. Oh yeah. Huh. Magnetic isolation feet. This just, yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Beautiful base plate. All right, let's close this up. Take a look at some comments here. Set it on the side. And I'll probably end up putting it all back in there and kind of doing an unbox quick full first take stereo power amplifier. All right, what are we looking at here? Let me zoom back a little bit. MT Young, percussion, new names. Always love seeing new names. Welcome. Wayne, hello Wayne. Gopinath, not quite the Buckeye, nope. Tar Hoya, I have all Buckeye Class D. Excellent powering my AVM 70. Absolutely love them. 3-channel Purify. Yeah, that's a great way to go. That is a great way to go right there. Very nice, Tar Hoya. Wow, NAD, yep, we got it. D-Sonic, yeah, that's another one I looked at. There's so many of them. There's actually quite a few really great choices around the Class D space. It's almost like, kind of like subwoofers as well. There's a lot of smaller build, like internet direct options out there, like there are in the subwoofer world. And yeah, Seth FM, great amp, Gopinath, yeah. Julius, yeah, Julius. I think Julius was super convinced this whole time that it's been the it's that I was going for the Buckeye, and I almost did actually. There was a time I probably even would have ended up having the Buckeye, if not for the they weren't available. I think back in late summer, midsummer, they were running behind a little bit, and they were delayed, which kind of ended up giving me more time to debate and wait things out a bit. And then this opportunity came along. So NAD, Wayne, yep, magnetic feet. Oh yeah, M17 V2i, excellent. How do you like the M17? Wayne, share some thoughts about it. I'm curious. The other thing that they have coming that I'm kind of interested to try would be that M66. So they have pretty soon, pretty soon there will be a new like 2-channel preamp here. Let me put up a screen share while we're talking here. Share entire screen. Screen 1. Go. Go here. Go to masters. I'm really intrigued about this, actually. I dare say this could be something interesting to maybe not purchase per se, but at least I really love to be able to have an opportunity to demo and play with this and compare to the STR. Be real curious for that when it comes. But if anybody's curious about the 23, the specs, and kind of pull them up here. So we're looking at these are the Purify, the 400 modules, ET 400. I forget the whole model number. It's not the like super powered Purify, but it's the slightly less powerful of the two. So 200 watt, 8 ohms, 380 into 4 ohms. The focals definitely dipped down. I think nominally focal 1000. I think nominally, I think they might quote these at 8 ohms. Maybe they quote them at 4. So those will definitely be pulling. These will definitely be pulling some current though. Let me double check. Yeah, nominal 8, minimum 2.9. So I think these do run a little bit lower on the impedance. High sensitivity 91. So it definitely will be getting some good strong power there. Bridgeable, of course, as well. I don't expect to be using the bridge mode. Gene Audioholics, they did a deep dive on specifically, I think, on the M23 a little while back, or it might have even been earlier this year. And they gave some recommendation that if you have speakers that dip in impedance, and that the bridge mode on these isn't the best idea. You really need to have 8 ohm speakers to have the bridge hit. So again, phenomenal specs. The Class D, that's the reason I could actually sit here with it and hold it and lift the thing around a little bit. 20, little over 20 pounds on the amp there, 2 modules. Man, that thing looks beautiful. It'll look really, really nice in the rack. Can't wait for that. All right, a couple catch up with some more comments here. Here's the one. This is what I was waiting for. Why NAD over the Buckeye? All right, so I should say I did get this from Dan. Mr. Dan DiCarlo at Audio Vision, my friend, local integrator here in Southeast Michigan, home theater installer. I know he's helped a number of folks on the channel in Michigan here set up some rooms and get set up with some things. Of course, he's been on a number of podcasts with me as we've talked about Control 4 and some theater design and other things like that. So the companies that Dan works with, and thanks as well to the extended connections through Dan that kind of made it possible to make this purchase. NAD, of course, is a brand that he obviously a brand that he has access to and he carries, and so the folks there worked really hard to get a good opportunity to be able to get this in my hand. So I should say it's not just a demo. It's not a demo unit. I bought it. I paid a good amount of money for it, and but they're so if anybody's interested in these, let me know. Feel free to reach out. I can refer you through to Dan. Audio Device does sell NAD as well. These are also available there too. Very nice amp. Yeah. Let's see a couple other questions. When you do the next movie showdown, it's coming. So one of the videos that I filmed last weekend, it's edited, it's ready to go. Oh, I didn't forgot my thought on that a little earlier. For a long time there, I have not been able to use my Apple TV to access the developer menu and see the streaming details HUD. I think in the betas, there was some Bluetooth problems. It wasn't connecting. It wasn't unlocking. Finally, with just whatever advancements in these last couple of updates, it worked again. So I filmed a video where since it's been so long since I've done a streaming face-off, I looked at every service, 10 services coming in this video. Apple iTunes Movies, Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Netflix, Disney Plus. What am I forgetting? Movies Anywhere, Vudu, Amazon Video, to kind of check in to see like on some content that would be, I think, regarded as high-end content, important content on each one of those services. Where are they at with their streaming rates? So nobody's challenging Sony Bravia Core yet, but so yeah, that video is coming, and so that one's coming. I got it. I think what should be a unique and hopefully very useful Kaleidoscape video as well. And then the fourth one is a much requested one as well that folks have been asking for a while. How do I boot the gaming PC directly to the Steam Deck UI so that it's basically a console-ish experience, completely controller driven? So I did the how-to guide for that. All of those videos, 3 of those videos that have not yet gone public to the channel, I did publish to members, to the premium members. So trying to add some more value to the members. I'll roll those videos out, probably one of them on Friday. I'm not sure which one. And then into next week. My goal is always usually to publish on Mondays and Fridays. but they're there. So if you'd like to consider a YouTube membership, check it out. And you can watch all of those, all three of them tonight, right after this live stream, because you wouldn't want to be leaving early. Wayne said, I bought Dylan's 90 about 6 months ago. He's got a trim off now, doesn't he? I think. But I ended up sticking with my NAD. I think a lot of folks, that's one matchup that I hadn't really been able to experiment with. So is NAD versus Anthem. I'm curious to try it out. I think the 66 will have eARC, which is would be a nice bonus over the STR. Let me go to this one. The one thing that they don't do very good, yeah, they're the HDMI eARC. You can see the port right here. So this thing's pretty loaded. We've got service, HDMI eARC, internet, coax in, optical ins, 4 subwoofer support here for a 2-channel processor, MC and MM phono cartridges built in, 12-volt trigger, ins and out, IR in. It has the expandable module that they're kind of known for. But before, I think you had to buy the HDMI module to get it in there. But now it's in. So yeah, I'm curious to try that out. And I'm pretty sure too, after the 66, I would really expect it'll be time for a home theater preamp out of NAD. So yeah, it's not have much sub control. So I think with these, we'll be looking at Dirac Live bass control, all the latest stuff. So yeah, for a 2-channel system, that'll be the ticket. For a home theater one, we'll probably be waiting a little bit longer. So yeah, so that's it. NAD M23. So that'll be going downstairs, of course, in the rack. And I just committed to this one so far. Once I can get the Parasounds moved, my next plan of action is to buy dual M28s, and that's what I would really like to run the theater with. So as soon as I can recoup a bunch of the money spent on the Parasounds, then I'll be able to go ahead and make the purchase. I hope that happens. Honestly, I hope that happens within November. I'd really like it all to happen within this calendar year. And we're starting to get late, almost basically is November here, another week. But I'd like to do that in early November. And I think I've got a couple of folks that I could start moving some amplifiers if I'm willing to take the offers that are on the table, which are just enough to get me into the M28s. I know some folks will say that it's overkill. Don't run Purify modules on surround channels and so on, but I can do it, and so I want to do it. I'm one for that really strives, really demands, really wants consistency. And so there's something to me about having the entire room, which is all full cal, all running the same beryllium tweeters, all that stuff, to have them all on the same amplifiers, hopefully getting the experience out of those amplifiers that I'm looking for. Plenty of power, more than enough power to run every one of those channels. Hopefully ultra quiet noise floor, nice, cool operation and all that sort of stuff. Looks fantastic in the rack too. So that's my thought there. And then as we go forward, much more, like longer term as well, I would look to kind of step up speakers and do some other things. And I'll have the amplifiers, the ones that I own, the ones that are in my system, ready for anything. Even if I end up with like a whole full cal Utopia bass bed layer someday, or move over to like some bigger Perlison S series in walls, whatever it might be. I don't want to have just purifies, just like better amplifiers for the LCR, and then not be ready for that later. I'd rather get everything ready now, and then we'll see where the speaker journey goes longer term. So a couple other comments here, Wayne saying, hoping they're talking about NAD. I hope they come out with some new boards since it's modular design, one for sub control. So I think now, like from the M66 and whatever succeeds it, a lot of that stuff will be built in. It won't be on the module boards anymore because that 66 has all of that stuff kind of fixed on its back end there. But there's still two MDC2 slots for extra capability built in there. And then of course it's got Blue OS, it's a streamer and stuff all in one. So a lot of cool things going on in that M66. I hope Anthem's paying attention. If they're designing the STR2 right now, there's definitely a few things in the M66 that I would like to see in the STR follow-up. A couple other questions. MT Young percussion. Any interest in the Arvolution player? I know Kaleidoscape. Yeah. So I actually watched Michael's video on this today, and I didn't time it, but he ran through the unboxing. He ran through some of the UI. I think the UI is an improvement. Navigating elements of the UI were snappier, although it still, to me, felt that it took a long time to load the movie posters on the wall as he was scrolling up and down. But one of the killer things that was kind of tough to me was he hit play, right? And it was a long time, not just HDMI sync time and stuff like that, but it took a long time to get the movie playing. I think he even kind of made a comment about it when he was showing it. It's like, hey, I'm not judging it. I'm just showing in real time what it takes for playback to start. So I think some of the things that plagued the Zapiti players are still prevalent in the Arvolution. And I saw a couple of other comments today as well, like that I think Shane Lee had made a community post kind of poking about it, that there was a statement about how, like, you know, your stuff is your metadata, your stuff is safe, and your ability to use it is safe no matter what happens. It's like, is that really a vote of confidence for the company that just went down to come back and say, buy our new product? It'll work this time even if we go out of business again. And then they still are doing the NAS thing again. So I don't know. I was actually chatting with Michael about it the other day. When he was working on that review, and I'm like, you know what, I probably should reach out to them and maybe see if they want to send something over. So I would say a lot of what I tend to focus on, just because by virtue of how I do stuff, go about the channel and everything, right? The things that I'm talking about, like I'm buying them, they're mine, and I'm not to a point where I'm like getting all kinds of extra stuff through just for review, and I don't really necessarily have the time, in some cases the energy, to constantly be changing stuff over for review. So I like kind of logging and documenting my journey as we go through this stuff, and the channel enables me to continue to like up my game and up my system and all that. And I think we've still got a long road ahead of that. So I probably have no interest in buying an Arvolution in my system for my personal needs. I don't. I've got the Kaleidoscape, and that serves the need. And for the small amount of content that I do have sitting on my Synology as RIPs, which I've talked about in the past, is really just stuff that either isn't on K or has kind of been lost a little bit to time, like the middle year Godzilla movies and the original 1980s Transformers cartoons, stuff like that. And I don't need a dedicated high-end player for that. Apple TV and Infuse meets my need to access that content. But I think it might still be interesting to try it out. So I don't know. I thought maybe about reaching out to them and seeing what it would be if they wanted to send something over for demo review. But I don't know. We will we'll see. I mean, I've owned them all in the past. I did have as a PD for a while. I've had the jailbroken Oppos. I've had Dune players. I had the Western Digital one, I think it was, a long while back. HTPCs. I've done them all. But watching Michael's video, it doesn't seem like the UI looks different, but it doesn't seem like much else is different. I think some of the same things that some of the same struggles or whatnot that folks have had with with the Zapiti, and some of its performance seems to maybe hold still true in the new evolution. But time will tell. Rain Man asking, oh, does the Anthem have sound? Does the Anthem have sound on other HDMI outputs other than the main HDMI port? And maybe I missed some of the prior discussion. Anthem does have 3 HDMI outputs on it. It's got 2 for the main zone and 1 zone 2. Nicholas Ruminos, welcome. Hello. Did you work out how to get quick measure multi-sub yet? No, not yet. So ARC in quick measure doesn't do just multi-sub only measurement. What I have learned though is it does show you like the integrated result. If you go into quick measure and you turn ARC on, like turn your corrections on, and you measure the speaker, basically measure your LCR, you will get a full range, effectively a full range sweep. And I did that actually. I haven't shared this yet, so this will be a podcast exclusive. There's my measurement in quick measure, again, ARC on for my LCRs. So they all run a pretty similar path there. The like lighter purple is the left channel, the more blue-green, or I'm sorry, no, the dark blue. Dark blue is the center, and the more blue-greenish is the right channel. So you can see actually below like the crossover point, these lines are real close together because that's the subwoofers, right? That's all 4 subwoofers working in concert. And then from there, the speakers come in past the crossover point, and they have some slightly different response, all within several dB of each other. You can definitely see the tilt kind of going down through the crossover. I'm still learning a little bit how to interpret this chart. I'd love to talk to some more folks about this. I'm not so pleased with this dip. This is just past 20 hertz because the individual like curve measurements of the subs wouldn't indicate that there's this massive dip right here. This is around where I put in a pull down in the PEQ of each of the subwoofers because they all had rises there. And I don't know if that's actually has a negative interaction, but this is kind of a little bit of a bummer to me. I suspect that this dip right here we're a crossover region. So, but if this is a unified measurement, you would still think it shouldn't dip so hard, but I guess you have multiple speakers plus the subwoofers playing. So you're getting the room, like the room gain of the multi-speaker, like the room gain effect, but still this is a measurement. So you would think like, okay, why is this dip? So there's some stuff in here that I kind of want to and I want to understand a little bit better. Yeah, Nicholas commenting, might be the mic giving up at 20 hertz, maybe. So I'm still curious. I think sometime in the not too distant future, I'll probably still be buying a mic and playing around with REW and getting some more non-Anthem like independent measurements of the room and so on, working with some of my friends that are really well versed in REW. We'll see what happens with there, but that's how you do it in the Anthem world anyway. That's the best I can do right now to kind of check the room. A couple other questions, then we'll talk about some HDMI routing stuff. Travis, with the Strato 6 terabyte, you don't want a Strato 6 GB. Couldn't even get a movie on that. Would the Strato 6 terabyte be the lowest cost entry point in the Kaleidoscape system now? So that depends. It depends what you consider to be a viable entry point. If you buy new hardware, it's 8 terabyte is the lowest. And of course, you'd buy a Strato C, you buy an 8 terabyte HDD Terra Prime, and you're at like 8K right now, which those sales may change at the end of October. Right now, there's like the combo pricing deals, like $1,000 off. So if you've been considering, you might want to you roll the dice. Either jump on the known discount that's available right now, or wait and see what perhaps who knows what better discounts may be in effect for the holidays. But in terms of so that's new. In terms of absolute entry point, yes, the Strato S6 6 TB, a used model, excuse me, is the lowest entry point, and that can be had nominally for maybe 3,000, 3,500 ish on the used market. So I'd imagine you could probably even grab a Strato S 12 TB for not much more. And if you could, I might suggest trying to get a 12, just because 6 especially with longer downloads, because that device is going to be something that's going to download at 45 minutes ish for a movie. And so you might want to be able to hold a little bit more. Just looking to see if there's any for sale on Kscape Owners Forum right now. And here's one listed August 29th. Folks still asking if it's still available. $4,300. Strato S 6 TB has a warranty through November 5th, 2026. So what is that? It's 2 years old. With a 5-year warranty, it's 2 years old. So you're still going to see people selling these. There's still plenty of these out there. People that are in the platform and looking to upgrade. Here was a Strato 12 TB sold in September, $5,500. All right, so maybe 3,000, 3,500 is a little low. I guess maybe 4 to 5K is perhaps a little more in the ballpark. So, but you can still get in used for half the price of new, if that's what it takes. And that's what I did. Again, I bought my first Kaleidoscape 2U original Strato 6 TB, $2,300 or something like that. Bought it on eBay, and away I went. MT Young saying, I wish any of these players, meaning the ZDoos, the PDs, had a UI close to Infuse. Yeah, the Apple TV Infuse, it's very, very snappy, very fast. Yeah, I'm talking about the quick measure. Yeah, so that graph I showed, that was all subs and the selected speaker. Correct. Welcome, folks. Master Lessons. Asking, did you consider Monolith Pre-Pro, similar AVM 90 Oro 3D? I'd say Oro 3D is not something that I was concerned about. Doesn't really factor into any content that I use or use the theater for. I did consider it, but not necessarily against the 90. I did cross shop pretty much everything against the 70. So a couple years ago, going into the holiday time, about 2 years ago is when I bought my 70. That was I was coming from a Marantz AV7704. I always forget if it was the 04 or the 06. I think it was the 04. I had an 02, which was the non-Atmos AV77 Marantz. And then I think I got the 04 when we went to Atmos and stuff. And I knew I wanted to step up. At that point, there wasn't anything like the Marantz AV10, right? I would say like Marantz was in a tier, and then the next tier included of like capability, audio quality, and price point, etc. was a tranche of Arkham, Anthem, Monoprice, Emotiva, Lingdorf, and maybe a couple of others as well. I don't remember everything, but I spent a good long while looking across those options, looking at their capabilities, their features, reading incessantly reading owners forums and owners takes, getting an idea of like what's the most stable, who's having problems with what firmware is working, what's not working, and all of that led me pretty clearly, features, room EQ capabilities, and all that kind of stuff. And that's what led me to the Anthem. And after having it for a while and kind of taking to the platform, I cross shop nothing when it came to the 90. It was just I'm very deliberately intending to go from the 70 to the 90 and stay in the Anthem platform. Ryan Blood asking for just movies, is the 90 that big of a leap from the 70? So I've only used it for movies so far. I actually haven't even listened to music on it. I don't really tend to use my theater room for music. It's movies, high quality TV shows, and soon to be again video games. And I think I can hear a different level of clean, of clarity, of like detail, of like just presentation. So that's again the one thing that I want to be really careful of is like I don't want to dissuade anybody from the 70. If you've only got two subwoofers, only right. If you don't have more than two subwoofers, and the 90 price point puts it beyond like your realistic spending, man, the 70 is fantastic, is absolutely fantastic. So either one of those units is great. If you have the means to consider either, and you are deliberately for sure going over more than two subwoofers, and you really want the audio quality, you've got a system that it meshes into, where everything else is kind of at that level. I could not imagine why you wouldn't just buy it, go for it, and be happy with it. Rest easy with peace of mind that you've got it. You've got that pinnacle. You've got an end game level piece in your theater, in that slot of your theater. Control fast. Always love seeing new names. Hello from Michigan, another Michigander. Well, awesome. Master Lessons. He bought his Kaleidoscape off eBay last year. Yep. There you go. Display models working well so far. Save thousands. You can still get the used ones with warranty, like we just showed it right there. Strato S 6 terabyte warranty through November 2026, $4,300 on Kscape Owners Forum. If you're going to buy a used one and you want to buy one from a really well qualified place, I will say Kscape Owners Forum is a great place to go for that. In many cases, the folks that you're buying them from are like longtime dedicated Kaleidoscape owners. The fact that they're on Kaleidoscape Owners Forum means that they really like the platform and they want to be somewhere like discussing it with other owners, and so they're kind of invested members. There's more than a few dealers on Kscape Owners Forum, so a lot of times too that it'll be the dealers selling. Either that or the dealers will vouch for the customers, which actually the second post in JMF's thread here is Cinelife Jim basically giving him the blessing. So this is a trusted source. Jim's basically maybe the, if not one of the bigger Kaleidoscape dealers like countrywide. So this is a great place to go for Kaleidoscape discussion. The actual folks from Kaleidoscape engage here as well. But this market is probably your single best place to go safely buy used Kaleidoscape hardware. So give that the forum has my highest recommendations. Yeah, this year 2023, much less gear on eBay for Kaleidoscape. I haven't really looked that much. I kind of would have expected to see more systems up for sale. Maybe I think we need to get a little closer to Christmas and people will start spending money more. I was curious how much of a rush of hardware we might see when the Terra Primes were announced. But if not, wait until the Strato gets refreshed at some point, and I think we'll start to see a bigger rush of devices coming out. Pavel, so we're just waiting for the NZ9 to round out the upgrade phase. No comment on that yet. Let's say that I am talking projectors with some folks, so we'll see what happens. I don't know yet. It depends what kind of opportunity may be creatable there. I kind of expect that. My gut feeling actually though is not to hold back on the NZ9 level until the next refresh comes, which will hopefully be like next Cedia. So then maybe they'll be available at the end of 2024, early 2025, shipping to customers, and I can hopefully have a really banner 2024 Techthusiasm year and be able to broker into that. But I've been increasingly thinking though, essentially, I'll spoil it, let the cat out of the bag on it a little bit. But my thought had been, you know what, maybe like for the next year, an NZ7 may not be all that bad of an idea. So the new models are at least a year away. That's if JVC announces and ships them in 2024. An NZ7 versus an NX7, it's going to be brighter. It's going to be quieter. It's going to start up faster and sync faster and have the benefits and stuff of the laser. I'm not too worried that it represents a little bit of a drop in contrast. My room is a bat cave. Everything's black. So I think the performance will be a net positive versus a negative in that way. HDMI 2.1, that's kind of what has me jonesing on a little bit, especially if I were to consider this PC to PS5 swap back, because 120 hertz mode, 40 FPS fidelity modes generally seems to be the right way to play games on the PlayStation 5, and I can't do that on the NX7. So the JVCs are on sale right now. So I'm working on working on what could be possible for this, but the prices are good right now. The NX7 will probably still have some nice solid resale value, probably into the $4,000 range, I would guess. Yeah, the NZ7 on audio advice. Here you go, $10,999, $11,000 marked down to $9,000. It's $2,000 off. I can sell my NX7 for $4,500, and we'll see, see what else maybe could come of an opportunity or whatnot with the channel and stuff. I think that could be feasible, and I would really like to do that too. Like, they just got the new firmware. I'd really love to be making videos about that. So the whole next year I could be making current model NZ topical videos, and I think there's a lot of merit to that. So we'll see what happens. Part of it depends as well what kind of revenue flow and stuff I get through these last couple months of the year as well. If I see some fundage to help it out. So hey, if you want to see Techthusiasm get an NZ, and you're looking at some home theater gear, buy it from Audio Advice. Please go through my affiliates, use the affiliate stuff, and I'll turn that money around into more new gear that I'll be talking about, sharing, giving my thoughts, making all the techie kind of stuff. I'd love to be doing the lens shifting, installation mode stuff, talking about the HDMI, testing the PC, all that stuff on the 4090. Yep, exactly. Doesn't do VRR though. Projectors don't do VRR. So the one downside to the PC is they're probably still running your PC on an NZ at 60 FPS, at least until we get a 5090, and maybe we could start to run more. We could start to run more games at native 120. You don't want to be too far below that, right? Or else, even with VSync, it's going to be all stuttery, Terry looking kind of a mess without VRR. But the nice thing about it, regardless, is even if you ran 4K 120, if you ran 4K 60 PC to an NZ projector, you could still run video levels for 444 color 12-bit, push it all the way, and not have to do color compressions and stuff to pull it back to 422. So we'll see how that goes. So little pre-announcement there. Nothing said. I'm waiting for some feedback. and we'll see what kind of opportunity creates itself. But I think I can do some cool stuff with it if it happens. And I think there's a lot of value in having the NZ for the next year. I think it'll be a net positive picture quality and feature upgrade to the NX7. Travis, guess you need to decide if you wanted two more 17.3. Well, I mean, I reached out to Arndal. I'm quite honestly, I'll say I'm a little bit bummed because Arndal sponsors channels now. They've got affiliate things set up. They got all this stuff going, and they've got stuff going like with channels and cool, whatever, they make their choices. But it's like, I've been running your subwoofers in my room for 2 years, singing their praises. I think they're really excellent build quality, great sonics, all that stuff. And so I had tried to reach out to them and say, look, when I was starting my thought about adding more subwoofers to the room, it's like, perfect, let's go get two more 1723 2S's. Like, you guys are working with channels, you're sponsoring channels, you're getting affiliates, and I haven't been able to get anything. I reached out to them, I kind of got crickets and stuff. So I was a little disappointed by that, because it's like, there's you do a lot of sponsoring and things on channels, people that just review your stuff and say it's good, but I actually bought it. I bought them full price, my own money, way back, not way back, but a couple of years ago. So yeah, so we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with the subs yet. I still got time with the SBS XB16s. I don't know. Might end up keeping those. Might end up going for just 4 of those and be happy with that for a while. I'm not sure what I'll do yet. Christian's Foot saying, Jeremy, how do you handle tone mapping at the moment? So I don't have a video processor anywhere in the living room. It's an LG G2 83-inch that does its HDR processing. And then in the theater, it's the NX7. I just use the JVC frame by frame dynamic tone mapping theater optimizer stuff down there. So another reason I'd really be interested to even at a minimum do an NX7 to an NZ7 side-ish grade to be able to see what HDR looks like and the new algorithms and all that stuff. And we'll see what happens with video processors. That's another thing that I've got opportunity brewing kind of in the background. So let's see what happens with that. All right. So last kind of topic we'll use on for a little bit here is talking about the gaming, the HDMI connections and all that sort of stuff. So this was interesting. So my son and I, Sunday, after our refrigerators, that's the other thing we just bought this past week, was a new refrigerator, LG 25 cubic foot. One of our refrigerators died. One of our Electrolux, not super enamored with Electrolux. But we had 2 of these Electrolux refrigerators. The one that died was in our kitchen. So we spent the early morning, my son and I, doing this refrigerator swap and all this stuff. And we got that done. It's like, all right, now we can play. Let's play with this PC. So the driving force is, again, I want to be able to game in the theater again. The theater is just so good right now. The audio is so good. It is so comfortable to sit down in the theater with the audio device Revelation chairs. Can't recommend those enough as well. If you want a couple rows, check them out, use the links, etc. So I haven't wanted to game down there for a long time because it hasn't felt worth it to me to go sit alone in the basement to play some video games. But again, you add up the 90, you add up the extra subwoofers, you add up the chair, and I'm like, wow, I really want to go play games down there. And playing in the evening, like wanting to turn the volume up a little bit, I can't really do that in the living room. So I could do that more so in the theater. And now the audio is so good that I'd want to go do that anyway. So I had the PC sitting up here, just connected to the LG for a little while. So we took the PC downstairs, we put it back on top of the rack. And the first thing that I wanted to try again was the fact that contemporary video cards have multiple outputs on them. Right, nominally speaking, most video cards have an HDMI output and 3 display ports. Stupidest thing in the world. So every freaking GPU maker out there, if any of you happen to be watching this, for the love of God, put 2 HDMIs on your cards. Okay. There's a lot of television display, projector display use of gaming PCs nowadays. It's unbalanced, I think, to have 3 display ports and 1 HDMI. If you're going to do 4 outputs, at least split them, do them even, 2 and 2, so that you can cater to some of the folks that are using more traditional non-monitor displays with our PCs. So because I've got I forget what I even have down there, MSI, right? MSI 4090 Gaming X Trio. So we ran the HDMI from the basement rack to the TV, and then I had a display port 1.4 to HDMI adapter that I had bought a while back and never tried. So we used that on the second output, and we ran to both. So one output going to the living room, one output going to basically into the AVM 90 to switch through to the projector for theater. And then using just Windows, right? You go to Windows settings and set up to duplicate displays, not extend. So the one thing you don't want to do in that setup is extend the displays. You want them to be a duplicate of each other, because if you're extending, then you have to switch which one is the main monitor. Certain games don't give you very good monitor selection, or you have to use Windows controls to switch around back and forth and all that stuff. So duplicate the displays, and immediately we started getting into limitations and troubles. So I cannot believe this still. This has been the case since sometime like Windows 10 when HDR first came along. But if you take a PC running Windows and you duplicate to 2 monitors, HDR is disabled. Just flat out done. Can't use it. No HDR. Like, well, that's a bummer, because as much as I think a lot of people complain about gaming HDR, like I have a really good experience with PC gaming HDR. I use the auto HDR features. I actually leave HDR on all the time in the Windows settings, and I think my games look absolutely fantastic. So right away, I wouldn't want to play without that. And then the other thing that Windows can't do, Windows can't send audio to 2 audio syncs at the same time. So you can only ever have one audio device selected. So no matter what, running 2 direct connections out of the computer and going in between rooms, you'd have to like change the audio device as you switch between rooms. It's like, okay, well, no matter what, you might have to do a little manual something when you go from one room to the other. I will be the only one that games probably in the theater. The family, if we're gaming together, would be in the living room. My son by himself would be in the living room. So it's easy for me to like, okay, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to game. I'll tweak one little setting to make the theater gameable, and then I'll put it back to the living room when I'm done. But we found that it was unreliable, actually. You'd flip the active sound device, and then there'd be silence, and it wouldn't start playing sound. And some programs would play sound, but then you pull up a browser and just try to play a YouTube video, no sound. And then one of the times that we were trying to get it working, and I was trying to get Atmos sound enabled too, because that's the other thing. If I'm going to play in the theater where I've got the Atmos system, I want Windows configured to output Atmos audio. Some games have native Atmos, and if they don't, at least it's the same up mixer in the PC Atmos app as it is essentially in the 90s. So no real big difference there. The living room went wild, and it was throwing these tones that I was afraid like my speakers were going to get damaged. Oh my God. So, all right, forget it. After that, I'm like, we're done. We're done with this. This is a failure mode. Running outputs to two is done. Let's try the next option, which is the splitter that I think I had showed last week. I had it sitting here last week. It's downstairs now. XQ splitter. I found it on Amazon, $70. HDMI 2.1 supported, works with Dolby Vision, VRR, 48 gigabit, has all the stuff. Has a selectable EDIT as well, so you can configure it for specific capability and all that. So we hooked it up that way out of the PC into the splitter, and configured the splitter's EDID not to pass through, but let the splitter provide the EDID set for 4K 60 Dolby Atmos. Now, so this is where my limitations come immediately into play, right? The projector, the NX7, is not HDMI 2.1. It's not 120 hertz capable at 4K. So in order to have the same signal work in both zones, we've got to keep it restricted to the lowest common denominator. That's the projector. We got to use 18 gigabit per second HDMI, no VRR, and no 4K 120. So we're kind of back to running native 4K, 60 hertz, 422, 12-bit color in the NVIDIA control panel. And that was working really good. That splitter has USB power, so I just plugged it into a USB port on the back of the PC. I didn't really do much to clean up the cabling, tie it up, or anything like that. So it's a little bit of a mess down there right now. But we went back and forth between both zones, and turned them both on simultaneously, and audio was working, video was working, HDR works in this case because Windows is only outputting to one video device, not a duplicated display. And the Atmos was working better. We didn't experience the problem where like we had dropouts because we didn't have to go changing the sound device in Windows itself, and we didn't have to switch everything. So using the splitter just made everything more stable. And in fact, actually, we played after dinner tonight. My son and I, we're playing Lego Batman, 2008 Lego Batman right now, and we played a couple missions, and boom, it just worked right away. So a couple things are a little bit different. When I had the PC in the living room, I was turning it off, and I would cold boot it when I wanted to play. Now that the PC is back downstairs, I don't have the ability to just walk up to it in the same room and turn it on. So instead of powering it down and powering it on, we put it to sleep and then wake it back up with the little mouse keyboard unit Logitech that I have that stays in the drawer of the coffee table of the living room. We played for probably about an hour. Didn't have any controller dropouts, no problems. That's one of the challenges of having the PC downstairs instead of upstairs. Although even with the splitter, this setup would still allow me to bring the computer upstairs, and I could use the splitter. PC could be up here. We'll go out of the PC into the splitter. We'll just tie that up behind the screen, behind the television in the living room there. And then one of the splitter outputs will go into the television, and then the other one can go long fiber optic down to the basement to the AVM 90. So if I really have to have the computer up here, I still can, for controller reliability and access to be able to plug in a fight stick if I ever actually decided to play Street Fighter 6 or something, some other arcade games and whatnot along those lines. I will have to change out some of the cables. Right now, I have two long fiber optics, HDMI 2.1 cables. They're directional from the rack to the television, and I think I need to pull one the opposite direction. So I need to open everything up, pull one out and reverse it, or possibly even just get a third and pull the third one through so that I've got two in one direction and one in the other. But if the PC can work downstairs, if leaving the console can work downstairs, there's some other merits and virtues to that. So that was the second connection option. I'm going to leave it like this probably for a few days, try some things out, try to game up here, try to game downstairs, make sure it all works. I love the fact too that the LG TV takes Dolby Atmos as input. So we're able to set the, even though the zone is a 2-channel zone, the PC can still send it Dolby Atmos, and all the audio works well. Down mixes it to 2-channel PCM, and we get all the sound in the theater. Of course, it'll be true Dolby Atmos surround sound like it's supposed to be. So pretty good. The third option, though, that I haven't tried yet is to just use the zone 2 switching of what would be the AVM 90. So you would go, and this is how I use the Kaleidoscape. So the Kaleidoscape goes out into the AVM 90. We predominantly use it in the theater, but I have a zone 2 HDMI coming out of the 90 into the television in the living room here. So that allows the 90 to matrix switch the Kaleidoscape to zone 2, and I can get Kaleidoscape audio and video over that HDMI to this TV, and then of course we go optical audio out of the TV to the STR. And so that's another way to go. I don't need a splitter. I don't need extra cabling. It's a little bit cleaner, a little less wires and stuff. And the 90 gives us the ability to matrix switch. So I could switch the Kaleidoscape and a PC and a place, like multiple sources could be switched to both the theater and the living room that way. But one of the limiting factors of doing it that way is every time you change the room, and I noticed this because I was doing this before. I'll use the PlayStation as the example, as the best example. I would game up here a couple times, then I would go game in the theater. And every time you switch, the PlayStation, all of the HDMI information is essentially refreshed in the chain, and the PlayStation acts like it's connected to a new thing. So you'll get presented again with the HDMI, or sorry, the HDR black level, white level calibration. You'll get presented again with perhaps the need to go change some audio and video settings to get them working correctly. And it didn't before anyway. It didn't really seem to remember. And so this was kind of a big pain. And the PC world, I think it will get even worse. I'm going to try it again to verify, but I think it will get even worse. So that's where the idea of using the splitter gives you connection reliability in a way that switching doesn't. Because again, that splitter presents one single solid, consistent connection to the PC all the time, every time. And you set up the configuration to that display, and you're done, and it will always work. So trade-offs, everything is trade-offs. But we'll see where we go. To the point too where I was almost thinking, it's like, man, maybe I should get a splitter for the Kaleidoscape actually, and then not even use the zone 2 switching. But the zone 2 switching really works very well for just simple audio video sources, but maybe not as much for the gaming sources. So I'll report back on that when I get a chance to hook it up that way. And it'll just be really, again, a matter of connecting the PC to the 90, getting it, use it in one room. What I'll probably do is set up the theater, get all the settings, everything stable and everything for the theater, and then turn the theater off, come up to the living room, turn it on, and see what it reports. One of the nicer things perhaps in that case about Windows is that Windows remembers the displays, and it remembers like certain details and whatnot of those displays. So Windows may actually do a better job than the consoles in some respects, that if you configure this display in a certain way, the projector setup, and then it recognizes when it switched to the living room, oh, this is the LG TV now, you might be able to more stably configure that connection in a different way. So we'll see. That'll be hopefully this weekend. I'll be able to play around with that. But first order business is getting this thing in. So stay tuned. So hopefully in fairly short order, I'll be moving the STR. I'm going to move the STR, get this in the rack, and the Triad rack amps kind of over to the left side of my rack, open up some space so that some other things could potentially fit into the rack on the theater side of things, and get that done. And then I'll continue playing with the PC and continue musing on this PlayStation decision. I'm still jonesing to play Spider-Man 2. But I've also got pretty good progress on Batman Arkham Knight. So, and one of the other things too, man, about the PC, and I need to make the video on this, is PC gaming in the theater with a projector means that many contemporary games, pretty much all the Sony games and stuff, let you give you an easy option to choose a 21:9 aspect ratio for the game, which is essentially means the game will render like an ultra widescreen movie inside a 16:9 resolution field, which means that you can zoom it up with the lens memory installation modes exactly for gaming, exactly like you do for movies. And that field of view is just immaculate. It is just, it's so good. So that's another feather in the cap of potentially sticking with the PC. But we'll see where that goes. I did get something else today, actually, too. When Dan brought the M23, I ordered them a while ago. I ordered 5-inch wide masking panels, Seymour masking panels for the screen to cover the left and right dead space that I can't, because I'm at my throw distance maximum, that I can't zoom up anymore. So I'll be opening those up and leaving those up as well, which would be pretty cool. And what else? I did have to buy a Y splitter, a mono Y splitter, in order to install this. One thing that I wish that these, although I guess in this case, no, they could have still put 2 on an M, or no, they could have, they what N80 doesn't have on here is a pass through. So they have a 12-volt trigger input, but they don't have an output. Every device maker that does 12-volt triggers inputs, there should always be a looped output. So I bought a little Y cable. So because the STR only has one, that should have at least 2 12-volt trigger outputs. That's something else I hope they change for an STR2, 2 or maybe even 3. But because you could be connecting an STR to monoblocks and you'd want 2 discrete triggers. Been talking a lot. Any questions, comments, or whatnot on the gaming setup? If that makes sense to folks. Hopefully at the end of this, I'll be able to make a really good piece of content that's like, if you want to connect a gaming device to multiple spaces, single gaming device to multiple spaces, here's some of the ins and outs and the best way to go about doing it. Because everything that I'm doing too for the PC essentially works the same way with the PlayStation. Minus the ability to have the device natively feed 2 displays. Of course, the PlayStation can't do that. But the splitter, the merits of using the splitter versus the Zone 2 matrix switching, the pros and cons and whatnot of that would be the same with the console as with the PC. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to chat about tonight. And I'm excited to get this thing in. I just want to plug this thing into those speakers, and I want to come back up to the room and put my ear up to them and hopefully hear the beautiful sound of silence. Pavel's asking, can you run a USB receiver for the controller? Yeah, I could. Technically, I have. I've got a bunch of extra Cat5 lines between my living room and the theater, so though you can do USB to Cat5 adapters and other things like that. So there are ways to go about it for controller reception. But sitting on the couch, everybody playing, I wouldn't want to have wired controllers. It would be kind of a pain. So I want them to work wirelessly. And I have found that the Microsoft controller adapter, it doesn't do very well, at least historically. The last time I tried, which was some time ago, admittedly, but it doesn't do very well on a USB extension cable. So I don't know if it's a power thing or what, but it seems to work better directly plugged into a port than on any kind of a long extension. But then you're adding other potential latencies and things too. So all right, folks, I think I'm ready to rest my voice and go chill out. I think I hear my wife coming down. Maybe we've been watching. We started a Better Call Saul last season, a Better Call Saul. So we're only a couple episodes in, but very curious to see how that story ends and re-begins as Breaking Bad. So this has been a fun one. Stay tuned for next week. Again, I got hopefully some really cool, unique, and super valuable technical discussion coming. Those other videos are there. If you want to join the channel memberships, you could watch them now. And lots of cool content ideas in mind. Definitely we'll be talking all about this NAD. If you would like to consider any of this stuff, of course, help me out. Maybe we can still get that get some kind of a projector upgrade going here in 2023. Think about those audio device links. Use the Amazon link, share them with your significant others. Amazon for affiliates is actually running a little bit of an extra program through the holidays, October, November, and December. If your affiliate link accomplishes certain thresholds of spending, they throw a little bit of extra money into the kitty, which is kind of interesting. So any holiday shopping and stuff, please use those. Appreciate all of it. It's by virtue of the channel support and the channel opportunities that this thing is sitting here. So channel revenue allowed that purchase. Almost everything I've done this year, actually, I probably would have done little to none of it if not for this whole thing. So I appreciate everybody and everything that you do. And somebody go grab that open box AVM 90 at Audio Device. Somebody's got to grab that thing. It's got to be a Techthusiast. So, all right. Any other discussion? Leave it in the comments. We'll continue this in a future live podcast. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming out. Thanks for hanging out. Really awesome group again tonight. Really getting a lot of response. Big community show turnout for these shows and stuff. Makes it fun. And can't wait to do more. Have a great night. Yeah, Josh, there you go. Go buy it. Go buy it right now, Josh. Go grab it. The link is in the chat. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Coming back from a home theater discussion and fun.